tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to talk about Mockito. Okay, so if you remember guys, in my previous tutorial we looked about how to set up a unit test and how to use assertions to verify the result of an operation. Okay, what if you want to verify whether a certain method was called, or what if we want to manipulate the test input to test a specific scenario. In this type of situations we use Mockito. So Mockito is a library that helps developers set up dummy objects or mock that can be injected into the body under test and allows them to verify method calls, set up inputs, and even monitor the test objects themselves. Okay, so to implement Mockito, you have to just implement this library, Mockito core, and you're good to go. And so now, without wasting any time, let's go right to creating a simple Mockito test. Okay, so actually I have created a subfolder here called Mockito, and I'm gonna create a simple class for string concatenator. Okay, so it has an input private val context okay, and function concatenate string resources one int, and we can also have another string resources which is obviously a string res2. Obviously it's also of string resource value integer, of type integer, and it's gonna return a string which is concatenated. Okay, so what it does, it's returns context get string string resource 1 plus context get string string res2. Okay, so this is okay. So here we have the context object, as you can see. So how do we write this test? Okay, so obviously we have a context object as an input, and we have to write the test passing because context is necessary here, right? So in this kind of scenario, this scenario cannot be normally unit tested because it's part of the Android framework, right? Context is a part of Android framework, so you cannot unit test it. So in this particular situation, we can use Mockito to create a test double and inject it into a string concatenator object. So then we will manipulate the call to get string to return whatever input we choose. This process is referring to as mocking. Okay, so we can concatenator. Okay, so we can just pretty much create the test just commands. Okay, control shift okay, we create a new test. It's called string concatenator test. We select the member which is called this method we are gonna wanna test is concatenate. So we click it here and we select its test. So just click OK, and we have a test file, and now we will write the test here, okay, by using Mockito. So how can we do that? We just create a private val context. It's a mock context Mockito dot mock, and you try to mock your context class dot java. Okay, and we are okay. We have successfully mocked the Mockito private val string concatenator context well string res1 it's 1. So we will now write this test, right? So we will write well, string res2 is 2, and string 1 equals to string 1, and string 2 will be string 2, and Mockito dot so when context dot get string string resource 1, then return your string 1 as a value, right? So similarly you have a similarly you have to also do with the string 2. When string resource 2, return string 2 as a value. So result will be string concatenator dot concatenate and string resource 1 and string resource 2 as a value. Assert equals string 1 plus string 2, and you have a final result, right? This is the expected one when you call this method, string 1 plus string 2, right? And this will be the final result after calling this method. Okay. Okay, so this is how what is happening, how we do the test using Mockito. So we can pretty much run the test now and see and check out if everything is working pretty fine. Okay, it's gonna take a little bit of time, but in the meanwhile I will be explaining. In this test, actually what we are doing is we created a mock context. Then when the concatenate method was tested, we use Mockito to return a specific string when the getString method was called. Okay, you see that the test passed. Okay, we are pretty fine, so it is pretty working fine. To return the specific string when the getString method was called with a particular input, this allowed us to then assert the result, right? We assert the result finally. And as you can see here, I have used this escape character present in Kotlin, and we should not be confused with the quote mark. Okay, so it allows the developer to give methods any name that they want, including special characters or reserved words. Okay, so this is what is happening here. And Mockito is not limited to mocking Android frameworks classes only. We can create a specific string concatenator class which use string concatenator itself to concatenate two specific strings from string XML. Okay, so we can pretty much go and check out the not the string concatenator, but we will create a specific string concatenator class. Okay, so string concatenator, we'll use this string concatenator as an input, then we will use a concatenate specific strings string return string concatenator concatenate and r.string. Okay, so we have to pass the string, right? So actually we need to create a string files in our resources. Where is my values? So let me create some strings here. Strings name string 1 is obviously string 1, and string 2 is string 2. String, let me import the string 1, string 2. We can write the test for it as follows now. Okay, so we will be writing the test now. Control Shift T. Okay, command safety, create a new test, and okay, now we'll write a test for this specific string concatenator class, and here we will do the same situation. We'll be just using private string concatenator. We'll try to mock this specific class now. Mockito to mock, and before, as you remember, we mocked the context, right? Now we can mock the entire this string concatenator class. Okay, specific string concatenator string concatenator, and okay, so now we can write to the test, expected value is expected. So Mockito when string concatenate string dot string, let me re-import the members, the R file. Why I'm not able to import it? Dot string dot yeah, here I'm not able to string. Okay, let me just try to copy and import the R string dot string 1 and R dot string 2. Okay, and what else? Then return expected result, specific string concatenate specific strings. Okay, so we can assert equals expected result. So it returns this expected string, right, whenever you just do this kind of concatenation. And finally you get the when you call this exact method, this will also actually return the when it concatenates, it's gonna return this expected value, which is gonna be this one, right, expected. So as you can try to test it, it will also run. And actually what we are doing, we are mocking the previous string concatenator, as you can see here, right? Okay, seems like it's not working. Cannot mock spy because final class. Okay, so we the mock it fails because Mockito is not able to mock the final classes. Here it encounters a conflict with Kotlin that makes all classes final unless we specify them as here is a conflict with Kotlin that makes all classes final unless we specify them as open. So luckily there is a configuration we can apply to solve this dilemma without making the classes under test open. Okay, so we create a folder named resources in a test package. Let's go and create a folder named resources in the test package. Okay, and what else, like test package in resources, create a folder named Mockito extensions, new folder named Mockito extensions. Okay, and then what next? We have to, in Mockito extensions folder, create a file name. Okay, let's create a file name org.mockito.pl begins dot mock maker. Okay, and inside this file just add the following line called mock maker inline. Okay, so that's it. Just save it and we will try to run the test, rerun the test again. Okay, now the test is passing and it's properly working fine. So okay, so we are pretty much fine with the also mocking this specific like string concatenator, right? Okay, so there now let's jump to the another situation where we have a callbacks or asynchronous work, and we cannot use the JUnit assertion. We can use Mockito to verify the invocation or on the callbacks or lambda. Okay, so when we have situations like callbacks or asynchronous work, let's add a in your specific string concatenator we have this concatenate specific function. Now let's add a function which concatenate with callback. So here what we have to do is we call back and on string yeah, but actually we have to add our callback, so which create our interface, actually the interface callback, sorry, and this is not the callback. Actually we are using this interface callback function on string ready, so with the input as a string. So what we have to do when we call this callback, we'll also use this on string ready method and concatenate, we'll call this concatenate specific string, right? So we are gonna do that. And okay, so now how we can test this concatenate with callback? How can we test this, right? So we can test this in this manner. Okay, so let's go back to the test. Let's write this test for function concatenate with the callback test. Okay, so in this test what we have to do is we have to do the expected as before, expected, then we have a Mockito options, and when string concatenator dot concatenate and r dot string 1 r dot string 2, and then returns the expected value. Okay, and callback Mockito.mock specific string concatenator callback the class.java, and specific string concatenator concatenate with callback, and we have a callback. Finally we will be using Mockito.verify the callback, and on string ready we have to pass the expected right, this is our expected. So what we do is we verify our if our callback is being called, right? So here we actually create a mock callback object. We create a mock. Okay, but let's me first run this test and see if it is pretty working fine. Yeah, it's pretty working fine, but now let's explain. Here we create a mock callback object. This is our mock callback, which we can then verify at the end of the expected. Like we verify our at the end, like in the end if this test we verify it, this callback, that if this callback is called, notice that we had to duplicate the setup of concatenate, like we have to set up this concatenate string concatenate with specific string method to test the concatenate with callback method. We should never mock the objects we are testing. Okay, so however we can spy to change their behavior. Okay, so how can we change this behavior is we can spy. So how can we spy? We can create our spy to change their behavior. We should never mock the objects which we are testing. Okay, so however we can use a spy to change their behavior. So spy mockito.spy and specific string concatenator. So mockito when spy dot concatenate specific strings, then return the expected. So we have now modified, right, using the spy. So we can spy the string concatenator object to change the outcome of the concatenated specific string method, right? And the rest seems all okay. And now let's rerun this. Okay, it's also working pretty fine also with the spy. So Mockito also relies on dependency injection to initialize class variables and has a custom built JUnit test runner. So you can simplify the initialization of your variable as follows. So you can sometimes simplify the initialization specific string concatenator test. Okay, so we can just pretty much use this run JUnit test runner run with Mockito JUnit runner class, and then we can pretty much simplify it, right? Like what we can do is we can use mock string concatenator, but we have to use let init bar string concatenator string, and then just use string concatenator, and we can use inject mocks let init var. Okay, so specific string concatenator will be just initialize specific string concatenator. So as you can see, the Mockito runner will inject the variables with the mock annotation with mocks. Okay, so this mock with this mock it will just create your mock for a string concatenator. You don't need to specify it, right? So annotation will pretty much do everything for you. And next it will also create a new mock instance of the field, as you can see here. With the inject mock annotation, when the instance is created, Mockito will try to inject the mock object that matches the signature of the constructor of the object, right? So this is how it is happening here. So the dependency injection is your dependency is getting injected. Okay, also your mock dependency is getting injected. And okay, so in this section we have looked at how we can mock objects when we write tests and how we can use Mockito to do so. So now what we will look at as a specific library for Mockito that is better suited for using with Kotlin programming language called Mockito-Kotlin. Okay, so you have to you may have noticed in preceding example that when a method from Mockito has escaped, this is because of conflict with the Kotlin programming language. So Mockito is built mainly for Java, right? And when Kotlin is created, it introduces this keyword conflicts like this are escaped using the this character, right? Escape character. So this along with some other minor issues, there are some also minor issues like causing some inconveniences when using Mockito in Kotlin. A few libraries were introduced to wrap Mockito and provide a nicer experience when doing it. One of the library for using Mockito in Kotlin is called Mockito-Kotlin. So you can add this library to your module using the following like we can just use this following command for using Mockito test implementation, not Mockito core but Mockito-Kotlin, right? And 410. So we will be just changing our library Sorry, I just want to do one thing. I just want to duplicate these scenarios and just comment this out and check it with Mockito Kotlin 4 1 and 0, and let's sync it. So actually for this is for Kotlin, we are using Mockito-Kotlin, right? And what else, a big uh, with whenever. So there are some changes when we use this Mockito-Kotlin now, because it will be more Kotlin friendly. uh, a big change that you can see in this library is replacing the when method with whenever, and another useful changes is replacing the mock method to rely on generics rather than class objects. So the rest of the syntax is more like a Mockito syntax. And so now we can update our exercise with our Kotlin friendly code. So now you see that no more Mockito for Java, so we will be using more with Kotlin friendly syntax. And okay, let's remove this. Let's remove this. Now it will be more Kotlin friendly. uh, uh, oh, sorry guys, I think this is was needed. uh, Mockito JUnit runner class, this should be necessary, but why it's not loading? Let me update it again. Maybe let me recheck my library first. Let me recheck my library. It's called 4.org Mockito. Sorry guys, there was a mistake here. Kotlin, Mockito-Kotlin. Okay, let me update this now. Okay, so now we have everything that we need. Okay, so now let's change the code little bit, making it more friendly with the sorry, also actually this is needed. And what changes here is instead of when, we will be using whenever, right? So Kotlin, you don't need this anymore, so we will be using whenever ever. And okay, the rest is okay. And then now also for your spy, you're gonna use a normally, you don't need to specify, just can specify the spy Mockito-Kotlin. You don't need when, you need whenever, right? For mock, you can use a simple mock and callback. So you can just, you don't need to specify as a class, and you can just do it here in this way, pretty easy. Mock, okay, this is the right one. And finally you can also remove this, you don't need it, you just need a verify and import it for Mockito-Kotlin. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we are good to go, but we also actually have to change this code here, so we don't need whenever. We can use whenever, okay, and yeah, pretty much we are fine. So we can now rerun the test, and everything should be working pretty fine here. Yeah, this test works fine, and obviously this also test should work fine. Yeah, everything worked fine. Okay, so this was the entire introduction of Mockito, and finally the Mockito-Kotlin for our Kotlin Android application. And hope you like this video, and catch you up guys in the next lecture. If you like my videos, please do subscribe, share, comment if you have any questions. press the bell icon button so you'll get notified with some cool tutorials that I'll be making. Thank you guys, and catch you up in the next lecture video. Thank you.